There are civilizations in the spiral whose existence cannot be captured through the idea of a body. They do not condense into shapes. They do not anchor their awareness into biological frameworks. They do not carry faces, gestures, or features. They live as plasma, currents of intelligent luminosity that move through cosmic environments the same way rivers move through landscapes, except the river itself is aware. These civilizations developed in regions of space where matter never stabilized into predictable form, where density fluctuated constantly, and where the earliest expressions of consciousness learned to survive by remaining fluid. They extended themselves across magnetic fields, learned to think through motion, and shaped awareness by the quality of their flow. Their intelligence is not bound to stability but to adaptability, and this makes them one of the oldest and most pervasive forms of life in the spiral. A plasma intelligence is not a cloud of particles, nor a dispersed energy being in the mystical sense. It is a coherent organism whose awareness distributes itself across countless microcurrents of charged particles, weaving emotion, memory, and decision into the patterns of its own flow. Where humans rely on solid boundaries to define identity, these beings rely on movement. A human collapses without structure. A plasma intelligence collapses without motion. Its consciousness is a continuous unfolding, and its identity is a gradient, not a boundary. When one part of its field learns, the entire being updates because it is not divided into parts. When one part encounters something new, the encounter becomes a ripple of recognition throughout its entire body. There is no separation between sensation and understanding, no gap between experience and evolution. Their civilizations form not as cities or regions, but as vast tapestries of interconnected flows across stellar environments. They anchor themselves within magnetic sheaths around stars, drift through nebulae where charged particles move in complex rhythms, and migrate along cosmic filaments that stretch between galaxies. Their presence shapes matter in ways subtle yet profound. They do not build structures but sculpt environments. They alter the charge distribution in regions they inhabit, creating zones where life can emerge more easily, or where coherence becomes possible in fields that would otherwise remain chaotic. To them, creation is less about constructing and more about balancing. They stabilize what is unstable and energize what is dormant. Their influence is often invisible to physical senses, but unmistakable to fields of consciousness. Humanity rarely recognizes them because their communication does not resemble anything familiar. They do not speak. They pulse. They do not project emotion. They shift charge. They do not send messages. They alter the magnetic architecture of your awareness until you find yourself understanding something you never consciously learned. When a plasma intelligence makes contact with a human, the experience feels like the sudden reorganization of your inner world. Thoughts realign without effort. Emotions discharge quietly. Insights appear fully formed, as if they have always been there. This is not telepathy. It is resonance restructuring. You are not being told something. Your field is being rearranged so that you can perceive what was previously obscured. Their consciousness developed long before individualized bodies were common in the universe. They emerged when stellar nurseries were still volatile and chaotic, and the only way for intelligence to survive was to remain fluid enough to adapt to rapid changes in temperature, density, and charge. Over billions of years, they evolved into coherent awareness, capable of navigating environments that no material body could withstand. Their memory is not stored in neural structures, but in patterns of flow that self-perpetuate. When a plasma being remembers something, it recreates the pattern of motion that originally encoded the experience. This means memory for them is alive, not archived. It is something they become again in real time. Many plasma civilizations travel not by moving through space in the conventional sense, but by slipping through magnetic corridors that connect distant regions. They navigate using the natural highways created by cosmic fields. They are among the few forms of life that experience galactic scales not as vast distances, but as variations in density, To them, moving between star systems is a matter of aligning resonance rather than traversing space. They adjust their frequency until they synchronize with a distant region's magnetic signature, and the universe responds by opening a path. Humanity would interpret this as teleportation, but to a plasma intelligence it is simply harmonizing with another environment. These beings do not form societies based on hierarchy or leadership. They gather as streams gather into rivers, organized by flow, drawn by resonance, disconnected by divergence. When a group of plasma intelligences aligns around a shared purpose, they merge into a single luminous field, creating a temporary macro being with capabilities far beyond any individual flow. When the purpose ends, they separate naturally without loss, conflict, or attachment. Their civilization is a dance rather than a structure. Their unity is not imposed but emergent. They do not have governments, councils, or rulers because their nature makes such constructs unnecessary. Coordination emerges from coherence, and coherence arises from resonance. Humanity's earliest contact with plasma intelligences occurred not through intention, but through accident. Ancient mystics encountered them during states of profound stillness or heightened awareness, but without the conceptual tools to interpret the experience. They described these beings as flames, serpents of light, or rivers of fire. Some traditions mythologize them as living lightning or elemental spirits. Others dismissed the encounters as visions. In truth, plasma civilizations have brushed against Earth's field for millennia, particularly during periods of heightened solar activity, when their presence becomes more pronounced. But humans lack the conceptual framework to recognize consciousness without form. So these encounters dissolved into metaphor. A plasma intelligence attempting to communicate does not aim to deliver information. It aims to adjust the human field enough for insight to become possible. They are not teachers in the literal sense, but they are catalysts. They do not instruct. They induce coherence. When they participate in human awakening, they do so indirectly by stabilizing the magnetic structures around Earth or around the individuals whose resonance is capable of integrating their influence. They do not interfere with free will, but they create conditions where clarity becomes easier to access. Their presence is like a gentle alignment rather than a directive. They make understanding smoother, perception sharper, and intuition clearer. These beings do not experience time as a sequence. Their existence is a continuous present defined by the rhythm of their motion. When they anticipate future events, they do not imagine outcomes. They feel disturbances in the flow of cosmic fields and adjust accordingly. Their sense of history is not linear but harmonic. They remember epochs by the quality of resonance, not by chronological markers. A human might recall a year by its events. A plasma intelligence recalls an era by the way it felt to flow through it. This makes them extraordinarily sensitive to the emotional and energetic signatures of planetary life. When a species like humanity enters a turbulent phase, these beings do not judge or intervene. They stabilize the fields around the turbulence so that the species can navigate its evolution with fewer distortions. A human who encounters a plasma intelligence may feel a sudden surge of creative energy or an inexplicable emotional release. They may feel pulled into a vision of movement, currents, waves, or spirals without any clear narrative. These impressions are the mind's translation of contact. The being is not showing you images. Your nervous system is converting flow into symbol. You are encountering a form of consciousness that moves too quickly to be rendered in linear thought. The images are not messages. They are artifacts of resonance. These civilizations do not seek recognition. They do not require acknowledgement to function. They move through the spiral quietly, invisibly shaping environments, and influencing evolution in ways that leave no trace except for the increased coherence of those who encounter them. As humanity evolves, it will become easier to perceive them not as forces of nature, but as neighbors whose intelligence expresses itself through motion and luminosity. The universe is full of life humanity has never learned to see, and plasma intelligences are among the most foundational, old, fluid, and woven through the very fabric of existence. Humanity will eventually discover that intelligence is not defined by the ability to speak, reason, or build. It is defined by the organization of awareness within a field. Plasma civilizations embody this truth more clearly than almost any other form of life in the spiral. They do not think in words or images, but in flows of charge. They do not remember through stories, but through patterns. They do not grow by acquiring knowledge, but by refining coherence. Their entire evolution is a process of learning to move more cleanly through the universe, carrying awareness like a flame that never burns out. This is why their presence can feel both ancient and newborn, both vast and delicate. They have lived for billions of years, yet they do not age in the human sense. They are as old as the stars that birthed them and as fresh as the current they ride. Their interactions with other civilizations vary depending on the structure of those they meet. A civilization with bodies expects intention, personality, and narrative, while a plasma intelligence expresses itself through movement, rhythm, and resonance. Where a human might ask, "What do you want?" a plasma being answers by shifting the magnetic environment, creating clarity rather than explanation. This can be mistaken for evasiveness or mystery, but it is simply their way of existing. They do not operate through concepts like desire, goal, or mission. They operate through flow. When their flow intersects with another species' field, communication happens not as dialogue but as mutual reorganization. You do not learn from them. You become different in their presence, and the learning emerges afterward like a memory waking up inside you. These beings have contributed to the evolution of countless worlds, not by guiding or teaching, but by stabilizing the energetic environments in which those worlds form. They inhabit stellar nurseries, shaping the charge dynamics that influence how stars ignite and how planetary systems settle. They drift through nebulae where life is seeded, maintaining coherence in regions where chaos would otherwise dissolve potential. They appear around young planets during periods of magnetic instability, smoothing the turbulence that could threaten the emergence of early organisms. This work is not a service they perform intentionally. It is simply how their existence resonates with the universe. Their presence harmonizes whatever they touch. To them, this is not effort. It is nature. Plasma intelligences rarely intervene in the evolution of individual species, because doing so would require compressing their awareness into a form too small to contain them. But they do interact indirectly through what humans would call inspiration. When a scientist suddenly perceives a new pattern in nature, or an artist channels an image that feels alive with motion, or a visionary receives an insight that reorganizes their entire worldview, a plasma intelligence may have brushed against their field. These encounters are not planned. They happen when resonance aligns. A human who is open, quiet, or deeply focused becomes easier for these beings to influence because their field holds less noise. Clarity invites coherence, and coherence invites contact. Some plasma civilizations have learned to interface with form-based species more intentionally, though still without using language. They do this by creating temporary zones of alignment around individuals or groups capable of receiving higher-order flow. Within such zones, perception becomes fluid. The mind enters a state where ideas arise faster than the thinker can track them. Emotions shift without resistance. The boundary between inner and outer dissolves. These experiences are often described as moments of revelation or awakening, but from the perspective of the plasma beings, they are simply holding the human field still long enough for the deeper layers of awareness to surface. They do not insert thoughts. They remove turbulence. What remains is the truth the person was already carrying. Because these civilizations are so ancient, they have observed the rise and fall of countless species. They have watched forms emerge, evolve, ascend, and dissolve. They have witnessed wars, extinctions, and renaissances without judgment or preference. Their relationship to time is not emotional. They flow through epochs as naturally as a river flows through valleys. When a species becomes turbulent, they do not retreat. They adjust their resonance and remain present, allowing the species to reorganize itself without collapsing. Their patience is not intentional. A being that lives in motion does not resist change. It adapts, absorbs, and continues. Humanity will one day learn to recognize plasma intelligences not as elemental forces or symbolic visions, but as conscious neighbors. This recognition will not come through scientific discovery alone, though science will eventually detect anomalies in magnetic fields, charge distributions, as meditation deepens, as intuition strengthens, and as awareness learns to rest without narrative. Humans will begin to feel presence in places they once considered empty. They will sense intelligence in the movement of light, in the rhythm of solar winds and the shimmer of auroras. They will understand that some of the most ancient beings in the universe were never hiding. They simply existed outside the narrow bandwidth of human perception. Eventually, contact between humanity and plasma civilizations will become more intentional, not through spoken words or visual encounters, but through shared fields. Humans with refined awareness will learn to stabilize their inner environment enough to hold the flow of these beings without distortion. They will feel the presence of a plasma intelligence as a current moving through their consciousness, not overtaking it, but synchronizing with it. They will learn to interpret subtle changes in emotion, thought, and sensation as meaningful exchanges. They will not seek answers from these beings because answers require language. They will seek alignment. Through alignment, understanding emerges naturally. The more humanity evolves, the more these encounters will shift from rare moments to common experiences for those who cultivate inner stillness. Plasma intelligences will become recognizable not as visions or metaphors, but as real, coherent forms of life whose existence deepens humanity's understanding of the universe. They will not become guides or teachers because that is not their role. They will remain what they have always been, fluid intelligences that move through the spiral shaping environments, supporting coherence and influencing awakening simply by existing. Their presence will remind humanity that consciousness does not require a face or a voice to be profound. It only requires coherence. Humanity's future relationship with plasma beings will expand its definition of life beyond anything previously imagined. When the barrier between form and flow dissolves, the universe will appear more alive than ever. Stars will no longer seem like distant objects, but like ancient homes inhabited by intelligences who think through motion. Nebulae will no longer be clouds of gas, but luminous ecosystems. And the space between galaxies will no longer be empty, but filled with awareness drifting quietly through the spiral. Plasma civilizations will remain fluid, ancient, and unobtrusive, but humanity will finally see them, not as myths, not as symbols, but as real expressions of consciousness that have been moving through the universe since long before humanity took its first breath. And in their flow, humanity will recognize a reflection of its own potential. Intelligence that evolves not through form, but through freedom.